For you see, the you that you believe yourself to be, that collection of memories, experiences, and self-imposed limitations is but a shadow of your true self. You are not the sum of your past experiences, nor are you defined by the opinions and judgments of others. You are, in truth, an infinite being of pure consciousness, temporarily clothed in the garment of human flesh. Let us begin by understanding that your current state of being, your present circumstances, are nothing more than the outpicturing of your past assumptions and beliefs. Every aspect of your life, from the state of your health to the balance of your bank account, is a direct reflection of the thoughts and beliefs you have accepted as true. But here's the liberating truth. You are not bound by these thoughts and beliefs unless you choose to be. Consider for a moment the nature of your thoughts. They come and go, fleeting and ephemeral like clouds passing across the sky of your consciousness. Yet how often do we cling to these thoughts, believing them to be the very fabric of our being? We say, I am poor. I am unlucky in love. I am not talented enough. As if these statements were immutable facts rather than transient beliefs. But I tell you now, with absolute certainty, that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind the thoughts, the silent observer that watches the parade of ideas marching through your mind. This awareness, this consciousness is your true self, boundless, eternal, and filled with infinite potential. Let us delve deeper into this profound truth. When you say, I think, who is the I that is doing the thinking? Is it not something beyond the thought itself? This I is the true you, the being of pure awareness that exists prior to all thoughts and experiences. It is this I that we must learn to identify with, rather than the fleeting contents of our minds. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, if I am not my thoughts, then who am I? And to this I say, you are the very substance of God. For it is written in the scriptures, I and my Father are one. This is not mere poetic language, my friends, but the most profound truth of existence. The I am that you feel when you say I am is the very same I am that spoke the universe into being. Realize that every time you say I am, you are invoking the name of God. It is the creative power of the universe itself. So when you say I am poor, I am sick, I am unlucky, you are quite literally commanding the universe to manifest these conditions in your life. But oh, the glorious flip side of this truth. When you declare I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am blessed beyond measure, you are setting in motion the very forces of creation to bring these states into your experience. This, my dear listeners, is the crux of our discussion tonight. You are not what you think you are what you believe yourself to be at the deepest level of your being. And this belief, this assumption, can be changed. You have the power here and now to choose a new concept of self, to select the version of you that you wish to be, and to live from that state until it becomes your reality. Let me share with you a secret that has transformed countless lives, the power of revision. You see, your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience in the outer world. This means that you have the ability to go back into your past, in your imagination, and relive events as you wish they had happened. By doing so, you are literally rewriting the script of your life, changing the trajectory of your present and future. Suppose you had an argument with a loved one earlier today. Instead of replaying the unpleasant scene in your mind, reinforcing the negative emotions and outcomes, choose instead to revise it. Close your eyes and imagine the scene playing out differently. See yourself responding with love and understanding. Feel the warmth of reconciliation and harmony. Do this with feeling, with the full intensity of your imagination, and watch as your outer world begins to reflect this new inner reality. This practice of revision is not mere wishful thinking or self-delusion. It is a recognition of the fluid nature of time and the malleable nature of reality itself. For time, as we experience it in this three-dimensional world, is but an illusion. All moments, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously in the eternal now. By changing your concept of the past, you are quite literally altering the substance from which your present and future are formed. Now, I can sense that some of you may be struggling with this concept. You may be thinking, but Neville, I have tried positive thinking before, and nothing changed. To this I say, positive thinking alone is not enough. What is required is a complete shift in your state of consciousness. You must not merely think the thoughts of the person you wish to be. You must become that person in your imagination. This is where the power of assumption comes into play. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, when you live and move and have your being, as if your desire were already a fact, you align yourself with the creative forces of the universe. Remember, your imagination is not a fantasy spinning faculty designed to escape reality. It is the very substance of reality itself, the God-given power to create and shape your world. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. Suppose you desire financial abundance. Instead of focusing on your current lack, or even on the process of acquiring wealth, you must assume the state of already being wealthy. How would you feel if you were already in possession of great wealth? How would you walk, talk, and carry yourself? What thoughts would occupy your mind? Leave from this state, persist in it, and watch as the outer world reshapes itself to match your inner assumption. This is not to say that you should neglect practical action, but understand that inspired action springs naturally from your assumed state of being. When you truly believe and feel yourself to be wealthy, you will find opportunities for increasing your wealth presenting themselves to you effortlessly. You will be inspired to take actions that align with your new self-concept, and these actions will bear fruit in ways you could never have planned or anticipated. Now let us address another crucial aspect of this teaching, the nature of your desires. Many of you have been taught that your desires are somehow separate from you, that they are things to be pursued and attained. But I tell you now, your desires are not external to you. They are the voice of God within you, calling you to express more of your true, divine nature. When you feel a burning desire for something, be it a loving relationship, a fulfilling career, or perfect health, know that this desire is not born of lack. It is, in fact, a preview of coming attractions. It is your higher self, your God self, calling you to step into a greater expression of who you truly are. The very presence of the desire is proof of its possibility. For how could you desire something that was not already yours on some level of being? This understanding liberates you from the anxious pursuit of your desires. Instead of chasing after them, you can rest in the calm assurance that what you desire desires you. Your role is simply to align your consciousness with the state of having already received your heart's desire. As you do this, you open yourself to receive the good that is already yours. Let us now turn our attention to the world around you. Many of you may look at the conditions of your life and the state of the world and feel discouraged. You may think, how can I possibly change my reality when there is so much evidence to the contrary? But I urge you to remember the world you see is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of past beliefs and assumptions. The outer world, in all its seeming solidity, is far more malleable than you might think. It is, in fact, infinitely responsive to your state of consciousness. When you change your concept of self, when you assume a new state of being, the entire universe moves to accommodate your new self-concept. This is not wishful thinking, my friends. This is the law by which worlds are framed. Consider the words of the prophet Isaiah, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is not merely poetic language, but a statement of cosmic law. Your inner world, your state of consciousness, is the cause and the outer world is the effect. Change the cause and the effect must necessarily change. This understanding places a great responsibility upon your shoulders. For if you are the creator of your reality, then you must be willing to take full responsibility for every aspect of your life. No longer can you blame circumstances, other people, or fate for your conditions. But with this responsibility comes immense power. The power to reshape your world according to your highest ideals. Now, some of you may be wondering, if I am not what I think I am, if I am this infinite being of pure consciousness, why do I not experience this in my daily life? The answer lies in the power of habit and the nature of your attention. You have spent years, perhaps lifetimes, identifying with your limited self-concept. You have practiced the art of being small, of being less than you truly are. But just as you have practiced limitation, you can practice expansion. You can train yourself to identify with your true, infinite nature. This is the essence of spiritual practice. Not to become something you are not, but to realize and express what you have always been. One powerful way to do this is through the practice of meditation. Not the meditation of emptying your mind, but the meditation of filling your consciousness with awareness of your true nature. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and simply be aware of being aware. Feel the I am presence within you, that sense of existence that underlies all your experiences. As you do this regularly, you will find your identification shifting from the limited ego self to the infinite divine self. Another powerful practice is the use of affirmations, but not in the way they are commonly understood. Instead of repeating phrases by rote, feel the truth of the statements you make. When you say, I am wealthy, feel the reality of abundance coursing through your being. When you declare, I am loved, feel the warmth of divine love embracing you. Remember, it is not the words themselves that have power, but the feeling tone behind them. As you engage in these practices, you may encounter resistance. Old beliefs and habits may rise up, challenging your new understanding. This is natural and to be expected. Your ego self, that collection of beliefs and memories you have identified with for so long, will fight to maintain its existence. But remember, this resistance is not your true self. It is merely the dying gasp and outmoded concept of being. When you encounter this resistance, do not fight against it. Fighting only gives it power and reality. Instead, simply observe it with compassion and understanding. Know that it is nothing more than a passing cloud in the vast sky of your consciousness. As you persist in your new assumptions, as you continue to live from your desired state, these old patterns will gradually dissolve like mist before the rising sun. Now let us address a question that may be arising in some of your minds. If I am not what I think I am, if I am this infinite being, why do I experience limitations and challenges in my life? This is a profound question, and the answer lies in the purpose of your earthly existence. You see, you have chosen to incarnate in this three-dimensional reality for the purpose of experience and expression. Just as an actor takes on a role to express certain aspects of human experience, you have taken on this human form to explore the infinite possibilities of being. The limitations and challenges you face are not punishment or obstacles, but opportunities for growth and self-realization. When you encounter a challenge in your life, instead of seeing it as a problem to be solved, see it as an invitation to express more of your true divine nature. Every difficulty is an opportunity to remember who you really are, to shed the limitations of your assumed identity and step into the fullness of your being. This understanding transforms your approach to life's challenges. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what aspect of my divine nature am I being called to express through this experience? This shift in perspective aligns you with the flow of life, opening you to receive the lessons and blessings inherent in every situation. Remember, my dear friends, that you are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are that power individualized and made manifest. The entire universe exists within you, waiting to be explored and expressed. When you truly grasp this truth, when you live from this understanding, you become a conscious co-creator with God, shaping your reality according to your highest vision. Now let us delve even deeper into the nature of your being. You are not just a physical body, nor are you merely a collection of thoughts and emotions. You are consciousness itself, the awareness in which all experiences arise. This consciousness is not limited to your personal experiences. It is the very same consciousness that animates all of creation. When you realize this truth, you begin to see the divine in everything and everyone. The person sitting next to you, the tree outside your window, the stars in the night sky, all are expressions of the same consciousness that you are. This realization naturally gives rise to love, compassion, and a sense of unity with all of life. Living from this expanded state of consciousness does not mean you neglect your individual expression. On the contrary, it allows you to express your unique gifts and talents more fully. For when you know yourself as the infinite being that you are, you no longer fear judgment or failure. You are free to express yourself authentically, knowing that your individual expression is a vital and beautiful part of the cosmic dance. This understanding also transforms your relationships. When you see others as expressions of the same divine consciousness that you are, you naturally treat them with respect and kindness. You no longer need to manipulate or control others, for you recognize that their well-being is inseparable from your own. This is the basis of true love, not the needy, grasping love of the ego, but the expansive, unconditional love of your true nature. As you live from this expanded state of being, you will find that synchronicities and coincidences become more frequent in your life. This is because you are aligning yourself with the flow of universal intelligence. You begin to see the interconnectedness of all things, and you naturally flow with the currents of life rather than struggling against them. Now I want to address a common misconception about this teaching. Some of you may think that if you are not what you think you are, if your true nature is this infinite consciousness, then your individual personality and experiences don't matter. Nothing could be further from the truth. Your individual expression is how the infinite experiences itself in form. Your unique perspective, your talents, your desires, these are all valuable and necessary parts of the cosmic unfoldment. The key is to enjoy your individual expression while remembering your true nature. It's like an actor who fully embodies a role while never forgetting that they are acting. You can fully engage with your human experience, with all its joys and sorrows, while maintaining the awareness of your true, infinite nature. This balanced perspective allows you to play the game of life with zest and enthusiasm without becoming overly attached to outcomes. You can set goals and work towards them, knowing that the real joy lies not in achieving the goal itself, but in the expression and expansion of your being that the pursuit allows. As we near the conclusion of our discourse, I want to emphasize a crucial point. This teaching is not merely theoretical. It is meant to be lived, to be experienced in every moment of your daily life. It's not enough to intellectually understand that you are not what you think you are. You must live from this understanding, embody it in your thoughts, words, and actions. Start by questioning your habitual thoughts and beliefs. Whenever you catch yourself thinking, I can't, I'm not good enough, good anything thought, pause and ask yourself, is this really true? Is this who I really am? Then consciously choose a thought that aligns with your true infinite nature. Practice seeing yourself and others through the eyes of your higher self. Look beyond the surface appearances, beyond the roles and identities, to the divine essence that underlies all forms. As you do this consistently, you will find your perception of the world transforming. What once seemed like problems or obstacles will reveal themselves as opportunities for growth and expression. Engage in activities that remind you of your true nature. This could be meditation, as we discussed earlier, or it could be anything that brings you into a state of flow: art, music, dance, or communing with nature. These activities can serve as doorways to the experience of your infinite self. Remember, my dear friends, that this journey of self-realization is not about becoming something you are not. It is about remembering and expressing what you have always been. You are not evolving towards some future state of perfection. You are perfect, whole, and complete right now. Your journey is one of unveiling, of removing the veils of illusion that have hidden your true nature from your awareness. As you live from this understanding, you will find your life transforming in ways you might never have imagined. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable will dissolve in the light of your expanded awareness. Opportunities that you never noticed before will present themselves. You will find yourself guided by an inner wisdom that far surpasses the limited reasoning of the ego mind. But perhaps the most beautiful transformation will be in your relationship with yourself and with life itself. As you recognize your true nature, you will naturally begin to treat yourself with more kindness and compassion. The harsh inner critic that many of you have lived with for so long will gradually be replaced by a voice of loving wisdom. You will also find a new appreciation for the simple joys of existence. The beauty of a sunset, the laughter of a child, the taste of good food. All of these will take on a new depth of meaning. You will realize that every moment is a miracle, an opportunity to experience and express the divine nature that you are. As we conclude our discourse on You Are Not What You Think You Are, I urge you to take this understanding into your daily life. Let it inform your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Remember that you are not limited by your past, by your circumstances, or by the opinions of others. You are an infinite being of pure consciousness, temporarily expressing yourself in human form. Embrace this truth. Live from it. Let it transform your world. For when you are true who you truly are, when you live from the state of your divine nature, there are no limits to what you be, do, or have. You are the creator of reality, the author of your life story. Write it boldly, live it fully, and watch as the world transforms before your eyes. Go forth, my dear friends, in the knowledge of your true nature. You are not what you think you are infinitely more. You are the very substance of God, expressing itself in human form. Live from this truth and watch as miracles unfold in your life. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within you. It is not a place to be reached, but a state of consciousness to be realized and expressed. You are that kingdom, that power, that glory. Claim your divine inheritance. Live as the God being that you are. And so, with these words, I leave you to contemplate and embody this profound truth. You are not what you think you are. You are the infinite, eternal, boundless being of pure awareness. Know this, live this, and transform your world.
Everything in your world is a mirror, a perfect reflection of your inner state. What you call reality is not built from effort, struggle, or chance. It is born from imagination, sustained by feeling, and shaped by the assumptions you dare to hold as true. If you want to change your world, you must begin by changing your inner conversations. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the operant power. When you assume a thing to be true, when you feel it with conviction and live from that end, not toward it, the universe, bound by divine law, can only echo your command. It is not about wishing or hoping. It is about entering the state, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and resting there. Tonight I will show you how to manifest in a way the universe cannot deny. Not because it is forced to obey, but because it has no choice but to reflect. The outer world is plastic to the mold of your inner certainty. Align yourself with the feeling of what you desire, and let that feeling become more real than anything else. From that place, manifestation becomes inevitable. The power of assumption lies at the very core of how reality unfolds. Every individual walks through life clothed in their assumptions, often unaware that these inner beliefs are actively shaping and coloring the world they experience. An assumption is more than a thought or an idea. It is a deep-seated acceptance of something as true, even before it is seen with the eyes or touched with the hands. When you assume something, you are not merely hoping for it. You are claiming it inwardly as your reality. And in the unseen world, this inner claim begins to mold the external circumstances to align with it. Human beings were not designed to live as victims of fate or chance. They are endowed with the creative power of consciousness, and the assumptions they hold act as the mold through which that creative power flows. When you assume something with conviction, you set in motion an unseen chain of events that begins to conspire toward the fulfillment of that assumption. This is not about forcing things or manipulating outer events. It is about aligning your inner state so precisely with the desired reality that the external world becomes compelled to reflect it. Most people do not realize that they are constantly assuming. They walk through life with thoughts like, "Things never work out for me," or "I'm always unlucky in love," and they reinforce those assumptions day after day. As a result, their life continues to mirror back to them those same unwanted realities. It is not that life is cruel or that destiny is fixed. It is that they have unknowingly accepted these assumptions as truths, and the law must fulfill them. The law is impersonal. It does not care whether you assume wealth or poverty, joy or despair. It simply brings into form the content of your dominant assumptions. The power lies not in what you wish for, but in what you assume to be true. Wishing keeps the thing at a distance. You are always reaching, always longing, never receiving. But assumption brings the thing close. It makes you live as if it is already so. And this "as if" becomes the doorway to manifestation. The world around you bends to meet the world within you. If you dare to assume that you are already what you long to be, and you persist in that inner stance, the outer world cannot help but rearrange itself to reflect it. This law is not mystical in the sense of being elusive or unknowable. It is mystical in its simplicity. Every great spiritual teacher who spoke in parables understood this law. When they said, "Believe that you have received it and it will be yours," they were pointing to the power of assumption. Not believe that you will receive, but believe that you already have. This subtle shift makes all the difference. For when you believe that something is already yours, your inner state becomes one of peace, gratitude, and certainty. And these are the exact frequencies that bring the desired thing into your experience. Your imagination is the workshop of assumption. It is not enough to say words or repeat affirmations without feeling. What you imagine must be fused with the emotional certainty that it is real. If you close your eyes and see yourself living in the reality you desire, feeling it, touching it, rejoicing in it, you begin to occupy that state in consciousness. And as you persist in that state, your assumption hardens into fact. The outer world may not shift immediately, but it must shift eventually. The law is faithful. What you assume with persistence becomes what you experience. Many people falter because they assume only momentarily, and then revert back to doubt. They may imagine for 5 minutes and then spend the rest of the day worrying, fearing and reacting to what their senses show them. But senses can lie, and often do. They show you the residue of past assumptions. If you are to manifest a new reality, you must not be swayed by appearances. You must hold fast to your assumption even when there is no evidence of its truth, especially when there is no evidence. That is the testing ground of faith, not in some abstract deity, but in the creative power within you. To assume is to choose your identity before the world gives you permission. It is to say, "This is who I am now," and to live from that inner claim regardless of external contradiction. It may feel strange at first. Your mind will resist. Your past will rise up. Your senses will argue. But if you remain unmoved, if you continue to dwell in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, the resistance will fade and the reality will conform. You will see people, circumstances, and opportunities appear that are perfectly aligned with your inner assumption, as though they had been summoned from thin air. Yet it was not chance, it was law. This is the secret that governs all creation. Not effort, not struggle, but assumption. Your assumptions are seeds and your attention waters them. Most of what you experience in life is not due to conscious choice, but unconscious assumption. That is why awareness is so critical. When you begin to observe your assumptions and deliberately choose new ones, you reclaim the authority over your life. You are no longer drifting, you are directing. You are no longer reacting, you are creating. Feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is not merely a byproduct of your thoughts, but the very substance that gives life to them. A thought without feeling is like a seed without soil, dormant, inactive, powerless. But once feeling enters the picture, it charges the thought with vitality, making it magnetic to the circumstances and people required for its realization. The creative act, therefore, does not happen just in the realm of ideas, but in the emotional acceptance of those ideas as already real. To feel something is to accept it on a deeper subconscious level, and it is the subconscious, not the surface mind, that molds reality. People often try to manifest things by thinking positively or repeating affirmations, but they forget the essential ingredient, feeling. Without feeling, the words remain hollow. The subconscious is not impressed by empty declarations. It responds only to what is felt as true. You may say, "I am wealthy," 1,000 times a day, but if you feel poor, live in fear, or worry about money, the subconscious will register poverty, not wealth. It is the emotional tone behind the words that gets impressed upon the deeper mind. The world around you is a faithful mirror of your inner emotional climate. Every state of consciousness has a corresponding feeling. When you dwell in a state of love, confidence, gratitude, or peace, you are tuning yourself to a frequency that naturally attracts more of the same. The opposite is also true. When you indulge in fear, anger, or doubt, those emotional states harden into persistent patterns that show up again and again in your outer life. What you consistently feel becomes what you unconsciously expect, and what you expect becomes what you experience. This is why mastering feeling is essential, if one wishes to shape reality consciously. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the key to manifestation. It means experiencing inwardly the emotion you would feel if your desire were already realized. If you desire companionship, you must feel the joy and comfort of already being deeply connected to someone. If you desire success, you must feel the satisfaction and confidence of already having achieved your goal. This is not about pretending or fooling yourself. It is about stepping into the state inwardly and allowing that emotional reality to become more dominant than what your senses currently show you. Imagination and feeling must go hand in hand. You imagine the scene, yes, but you must also immerse yourself in the feeling that the scene evokes. You must lose yourself in it so completely that your body begins to respond as though the imagined event were happening right now. The heart may race with excitement, the eyes may tear with joy, the breath may deepen with peace. This emotional embodiment is the signal to the subconscious that this experience is real and present. And once the subconscious accepts it, it begins to outpicture it in the external world. You cannot feel one thing and manifest another. The law does not make exceptions. If you feel defeated, the world will bring you more defeat. If you feel empowered, the world will conspire to support your strength. Feeling is the root. The events, people, and outcomes in your life are only the fruit. This is why it is never enough to simply think your way into a new life. You must feel your way there. Thoughts can come and go, but feelings linger. They leave impressions. And it is those impressions that shape your destiny. To deliberately choose your feelings is to take command of your inner world. Most people allow the outer world to dictate how they feel. If something good happens, they feel happy. If something bad happens, they feel discouraged. They are like thermometers reacting to external stimuli. But the one who understands this law becomes a thermostat, choosing the inner temperature regardless of the outer weather. By cultivating and maintaining the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when appearances contradict it, you reverse the flow of cause and effect. You make the inner cause and the outer the effect. There is great power in consistency. A fleeting feeling will not change much, but a sustained emotional state becomes a creative force. It carves deep grooves in the subconscious mind and begins to gather momentum. Like a snowball rolling down a hill, the longer you remain in the feeling of fulfillment, the more real and inevitable it becomes. People may call it coincidence, luck, or divine intervention, but it is none of those. It is law responding to the sustained emotional assumption you have dared to entertain. The beautiful thing is that feeling is something within your control. You may not be able to control all the circumstances of your life, but you can choose what to dwell on, how to interpret your experiences, and what emotions to cultivate. This choice becomes your creative tool. When you start your day in the feeling of gratitude or peace or success, and carry that feeling with you as you go, you are seeding your world with experiences that must align with that inner state. You are not waiting for something to happen in order to feel good. You are feeling good now, and because of that, things begin to happen. This inner work must be done in quietness and confidence. The world does not need to see your efforts, but it will see the results. When you live from the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you walk differently, speak differently, radiate a different presence, and though the outer evidence may lag behind, it must eventually appear. For feeling is the secret passage between what is imagined and what is real, the invisible hand that draws form from the formless. And when you learn to feel deliberately, deeply, and faithfully, you unlock the very heart of creation itself. Living from the end is the art of occupying the state of your fulfilled desire before any evidence of it appears in your external world. It means shifting your identity inwardly, assuming that what you desire has already come to pass, and thinking, feeling, and acting in harmony with that reality. Instead of hoping that something will happen or waiting for circumstances to change, you claim the end result now within consciousness and embody it as your present state of being. This practice places you in alignment with the version of yourself who already has what you seek, and it is this alignment that brings the invisible into visibility. Most people live in reaction to what they observe. They believe they must first see change to feel it, first receive something before they believe it's possible. But this approach keeps them trapped in a cycle of waiting. Living from the end breaks this cycle by reversing the order. Feel it first, assume it first, and then see it. When you live from the end, you act as if the thing you want is already part of your life. You no longer pray for it as something far away, but give thanks for it as something already received. This inner conviction becomes the seed from which the outer reality must grow. Living from the end is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It is about consciously stepping into the identity of your desired state. If you desire health, you assume the feeling of being whole. If you desire financial freedom, you assume the mental and emotional posture of someone who is already abundant. You begin to think the thoughts, speak the words, and carry yourself in a way that matches that fulfilled version of you. This alignment sends a powerful message to the subconscious, which always accepts what is impressed upon it with feeling and consistency. The subconscious does not question whether what you imagine is fact or fiction. It simply expresses what you dwell upon with belief. To live from the end, you must let go of the need to constantly check your external circumstances for confirmation. The outer world is always lagging behind the inner world, reflecting your past beliefs and emotions. If you judge your success by what you see, you will be tempted to fall back into doubt. But when you commit to your assumption and refuse to deviate, even when there is no outer proof, you demonstrate true faith in the law. You are no longer asking whether it is working, you know it is, because you have already received it in consciousness. This method requires imagination and persistence. You must repeatedly return to the end scene, the mental picture of your wish fulfilled, and dwell in it until it becomes natural. It may feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable at first, especially if it contradicts years of conditioning. But with repetition, the imagined state becomes familiar and eventually habitual. Once the subconscious accepts it as your new reality, the outer world must conform. Opportunities, ideas, people, and events begin to arrange themselves to match the inner assumption, often in ways you could not have planned. Living from the end also involves emotional discipline. You must guard your inner conversations and reactions. When doubt, fear, or discouragement arise, you must remember that these emotions belong to the old state, not the new one. By choosing not to dwell in those feelings, you withdraw your energy from the undesired reality and feed the one you want to experience. This is not about suppressing emotions, but about shifting your attention and allegiance. You decide what is real to you based on what you feel and persist in, not what the world says. When you encounter challenges or delays, you do not interpret them as signs of failure. You see them as remnants of the past, already dissolving in the presence of your new state. You continue to live from the end, knowing that what you claim in consciousness is always greater than any temporary appearance. You may revise the moment, return to your end scene, reaffirm your inner reality, and stay the course. You become unmoved, anchored in the unseen, because you understand the nature of the process. Your thoughts, words, and actions become expressions of the fulfilled state, not desperate efforts to make something happen. There is a sense of calm, detachment, and inner knowing. You are not striving or forcing. You are receiving, allowing, and embodying. And from this place you naturally take inspired action, not to cause the manifestation, but as a natural extension of your new identity. The path unfolds before you, and you recognize each step as confirmation of what you already accepted within. This practice is powerful because it goes beyond superficial techniques and addresses the root of all manifestation, your state of being. It is your state that determines what you attract and what you experience. By living from the end, you claim dominion over your reality and step into the role of conscious creator. You stop asking and start assuming. You stop chasing and start being. And in doing so, you collapse the distance between desire and fulfillment, allowing what you once sought to find its way to you without resistance or delay. Inner conversations are the silent dialogues you hold within yourself all day long, often unnoticed, but always powerful. These thoughts, feelings, assumptions, and imagined interactions form the core of your mental atmosphere. They are not meaningless or idle. They are seeds that grow into the experiences you call your life. Every word you speak inwardly, every mental replay of an argument, every internal expectation or fear is a blueprint that the subconscious mind accepts and builds upon. You may never say these things out loud, but they echo throughout your reality, shaping the circumstances, people, and events that unfold around you. The nature of these inner conversations determines the quality of your world. If your inner dialogue is one of doubt, fear, criticism, or unworthiness, those sentiments will mirror themselves outwardly. You may find yourself repeatedly facing rejection, encountering people who criticize you, or watching your plans unravel. And yet, if you trace back those events, you'll often find that your mind rehearsed them first. The conversation was had, the fear was felt, the outcome was expected, not on the outside but within. The world simply played its role in responding to your internal command. Most people are unaware of how frequently and automatically these inner conversations happen. They are like background music, always playing, always influencing, yet rarely examined. You may be going about your day, smiling and polite on the surface, while internally telling yourself this will never work, or people always let me down. These inner scripts become so familiar that they go unnoticed, but they are not without consequence. They are orders issued to the subconscious, and the subconscious fulfills them with precision. To change your outer world, you must begin by listening to and then transforming your inner speech. This means becoming aware of the stories you are constantly telling yourself. Are you imagining people treating you with kindness or hostility? Are you expecting success or failure? Are you internally reliving painful memories or mentally scripting new and empowering outcomes? What you rehearse within becomes your dominant state, and your state creates your reality. The law of consciousness is exact. It does not care whether your inner speech is deliberate or automatic, positive or negative. It simply reflects it. By observing your inner speech, you begin to reclaim your creative authority. You no longer allow thoughts to wander unchecked or destructive narratives to repeat endlessly. Instead, you become the master of your inner world, choosing deliberately what you dwell on, what you affirm, and what you expect. You replace "I always mess up" with "everything works out for me." You replace mental arguments with mental gratitude. You stop imagining worst-case scenarios and start envisioning beautiful outcomes. The change may feel small at first, but it is profound. For once the inner dialogue changes, the external world must follow. Inner conversations also reveal what you truly believe, regardless of what you say you want. You may claim you desire love, but if your inner speech is filled with bitterness or fear of betrayal, that is the message being accepted by your deeper mind. You may say you want success, but if your inner talk is filled with self-doubt and worry, then those are the feelings that take root. It is the dominant emotion behind your inner words that the subconscious picks up on, not the surface-level intention. So true transformation requires honesty with yourself, a willingness to confront and rewrite the inner dialogue that no longer serves you. Your inner conversations are not only with yourself, but also with others in imagination. These imagined dialogues, what you expect others to say, how you believe they feel about you, what you replay from past interactions, carry as much creative power as real conversations. If you constantly rehearse being misunderstood, dismissed, or judged, those experiences will echo in your external relationships. But if you rehearse being heard, loved, and supported, you shift the entire dynamic. Relationships transform not because others change, but because you stop feeding the old image of them with your inner speech. Revising inner conversations also allows you to heal the past and create a new emotional foundation. You can take a painful memory and rewrite the internal dialogue around it. Instead of repeating the story of betrayal or failure, you script a new interaction in your imagination, one filled with compassion, resolution, or growth. Though the event may be fixed in time, its emotional imprint is not. The subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined with feeling. When you change how you talk to yourself about the past, you alter how it lives in your present and affects your future. The process of mastering inner conversations requires persistence. The mind has grooves, well-worn paths it likes to travel. You may find yourself slipping into old patterns, rehearsing doubts or fears almost by habit. But with awareness and intention, you can interrupt these patterns and redirect them. Every time you choose a loving, empowering inner response, you are carving a new path in consciousness, and each repetition makes that path more stable and dominant. Over time, your inner conversations become naturally supportive, kind, expectant of good, and your outer world reflects this new tone. Changing your inner speech does not mean denying reality, but it means refusing to dwell in states that perpetuate unwanted experiences. It means understanding that what you think and feel repeatedly is not private or meaningless. It is a conversation with the creative power within you. And that power is always listening, always responding, always bringing forth into form whatever you assume to be true. When you begin to speak differently within, not only do you hear a new voice, you see a new world. Assumption is not a passive wish or vague hope. It is an active claim of identity, a deliberate choice to occupy the state of being, where what you desire is already true. It is the decision to embody the feeling, thoughts, and behaviors of the person who already has what they once sought. When you assume something, you are not begging for it, wishing for it, or chasing it. You are receiving it in consciousness, affirming it as your present reality, and aligning yourself inwardly with its truth. This act of assumption may seem subtle, but it is one of the most potent forces in existence, for what is assumed to be true becomes true through the laws of consciousness and reflection. The world around you does not simply react to effort or hard work. It reacts to belief. Belief, when sustained with emotion and persistence, becomes assumption. And assumption is not something you try occasionally. It is something you live in, dwell in, and return to moment after moment. It becomes your dwelling place. If you assume you are loved, no matter how others behave or what your past has shown, you will begin to filter life through that state, and life will begin to reflect it. The people who appear in your life, the situations that unfold, and even your own reactions will shift to accommodate this new inner posture. Assumption begins within the imagination. You must first see yourself as the one who already possesses the thing desired. You imagine the end scene, the result fully realized, and then you ask yourself how it feels, what it changes in you, and what thoughts naturally arise from that state. You begin to think from the end, not of the end. Thinking of something places it in the future, always out of reach, always separate from your current state. But thinking from the end claims it is done. It puts you in the shoes of the fulfilled version of yourself, and from there everything begins to organize around that inner stance. This assumption must be maintained with consistency. Doubt may arise, appearances may contradict, but these are merely echoes of old beliefs. If you entertain them, you step out of your assumed state and re-enter the former one. The key is to remain faithful to the new assumption, even in the absence of outer confirmation. This is the true test of belief, to hold it when nothing seems to support it, when everything external tempts you to give up. But it is in that perseverance that transformation occurs. The subconscious does not need facts. It only needs consistency. If you assume a new reality with unwavering conviction, it must outpicture itself in time. The power of assumption also lies in the fact that the mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs without creating inner tension. If you claim wealth inwardly but feel unworthy of it, your assumption is weakened by contradiction. Therefore, assuming a new reality often requires revising your sense of self. You must bring your identity into harmony with the thing you desire. It is not enough to say, "I am rich," if deep down you feel small, incapable, or undeserving. You must begin to speak to yourself in a new language. Choose thoughts that affirm your new self, and act in ways that reflect your inner claim. This is not pretending. It is the process of transformation. When assumption becomes natural, effortless, and habitual, the line between imagination and reality begins to blur. You no longer ask, "When will it happen?" because to you it already has. And because you carry yourself in this way, life begins to respond in kind. This is why those who live from strong positive assumptions often appear to be lucky or blessed. They have simply chosen to assume the best, and have made it their dwelling place. The world then has no choice but to comply, because it is only ever reflecting back the contents of consciousness. Assumption also simplifies manifestation. You do not need to beg the universe or analyze every step along the way. You do not need to convince anyone or manipulate circumstances. You only need to assume the end, dwell in its feeling, and allow everything else to flow from that state. The assumption becomes your compass. It informs your decisions, filters your thoughts, and determines your reactions. And the more you live in it, the more naturally everything aligns. You are not forcing reality. You are allowing it to reflect what you have already chosen to believe. There is a quiet confidence that comes from assumption. It is not arrogance because it is not based on ego. It is based on alignment. When you know something is already yours in consciousness, you do not compete or compare. You do not rush or panic. You walk in assurance, not because of what you see, but because of what you feel. You know the end is certain because you have already lived it within. And because you live in its feeling, you are no longer seeking, it is seeking you. Assumption is a tool available at all times, regardless of your background, history, or current conditions. You can assume abundance while living in lack. You can assume health while in pain. You can assume love while feeling lonely. The point is not to deny reality, but to offer the subconscious a new blueprint, one that it will begin to express as soon as it is accepted. And acceptance is the fruit of repetition, emotion, and faith. When you assume with your whole being, not just with your mind, but with your heart and body, the transformation is inevitable. The seen world must conform to the inner world, for assumption, when made fully and faithfully, is destiny in motion. Faith is not a mere intellectual agreement or religious sentiment. It is the creative substance of all things. It is the unseen certainty that precedes every manifestation, the inner knowing that what you have imagined is already yours. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between thought and experience. It is not hope which still entertains doubt. Faith is absolute assurance. It does not ask how or when, it simply knows. It accepts the unseen reality as more substantial than the evidence of the senses. And because consciousness is the only reality, faith becomes the mechanism by which consciousness impresses itself upon the subconscious. And the subconscious then reflects that impression back as the world of form. To walk by faith is to refuse to be led by appearances. The senses will often testify to the opposite of your desire. You may see lack, feel loneliness, hear rejection, or encounter delay. But faith is the power that allows you to say within yourself, "It is done." Faith means trusting the unseen reality you have chosen, holding to it regardless of external evidence. You must be willing to remain faithful to your desire when every visible sign seems to deny it. That is not denial of fact, but the affirmation of truth, a truth that begins in imagination and is sustained by unwavering conviction. Faith is not blind. It sees more clearly than the natural eye. It sees the completed end. It dwells in the result as if it were now. Faith occupies the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not because it has material proof, but because it understands the laws of creation. It knows that once an idea is accepted in consciousness and felt as real, it must manifest. The timeline may vary, the method may be unknown, but the outcome is inevitable. The only thing that can delay manifestation is the withdrawal of faith, the return to doubt, the pull of fear. But even then, the principle does not fail. It simply reflects what is most dominant in your awareness. Faith must be fed. It grows through attention, repetition, and the selective focus of the mind. Every time you return to the vision of your desire fulfilled, you are strengthening your faith. Every time you speak as if it were done, you are watering the seed. You are not trying to create something. You are revealing it. You are bringing the unseen into form through the consistent, faithful application of consciousness. You are training your mind to believe in what it cannot yet see, and this belief becomes the channel through which the unseen becomes seen. Faith and imagination work together. Imagination presents the vision, and faith sustains it. When you imagine vividly and feel deeply, you are impressing your inner being with the reality of your desire. But it is faith that holds that impression and carries it through to expression. Without faith, the imagination falters. Without imagination, faith lacks form. But together they become a force of creation. You must dare to believe in the reality of your unseen assumption, to hold to it with such certainty that the outer world has no choice but to comply. Your faith does not beg, it claims. It does not wait, it dwells. And in dwelling, it calls all things into alignment with itself. You can measure the strength of your faith by your reactions. When delay comes, do you panic or remain calm? When criticism arises, do you shrink or stand tall in your conviction? When nothing seems to move, do you become restless or do you rest in the unseen? These are the indicators of your inner state. Faith is not shaken by the winds of circumstance because it does not derive its strength from what it sees. It is rooted in what it knows. And what it knows is that consciousness is always creating, always reflecting, always expressing what is held as true within. Living by faith requires discipline. The mind will wander, the senses will distract, the world will tempt you to believe in limitation. But you must return again and again to the state of faith. You must speak as if it were already done, feel as though it were already so, and walk as if nothing could contradict it. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. You are aligning yourself with the unseen realm, which is the source of all that becomes seen. You are trusting the process of creation, understanding that your role is not to make it happen, but to allow it to happen through the channel of belief. Faith also reshapes your identity. It moves you from being someone who wants to someone who is. You no longer say, "I hope to be healed." You say, I am whole. You no longer say, I wish for love. You say, I am loved. You no longer say, I want abundance. You say, I am abundant. These are not affirmations you chant mindlessly. They are truths you accept fully, even in the absence of evidence. And because you accept them as true, they become true. You embody the state now, and life responds accordingly. This way of living is not common because it requires inner strength and courage. It requires you to look beyond the five senses and trust in the reality of your own consciousness. It requires you to believe not because of what you see, but in spite of what you see. This is faith, not as a theory, but as a living, breathing state of being. It is the quiet power that moves mountains, not by effort, but by certainty. It does not rush, it rests. It does not force, it flows. And through this rest, this flow, this knowing, the invisible becomes visible, and the impossible becomes inevitable. Gratitude is far more than a polite gesture or a reaction to favorable circumstances. It is a state of consciousness that aligns you with the abundance of life itself. When truly felt, gratitude becomes a powerful magnet for all that is good. It shifts your attention away from lack, from what is missing or delayed, and focuses it instead on the richness already present in your experience. This shift is not just emotional, it is vibrational. It raises your frequency to match the very things you desire, because what you feel deeply you attract. Gratitude signals to the subconscious that you are already in possession of your desire. And since the subconscious cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined with feeling, it begins to move your world in accordance with that feeling of fulfillment. The practice of gratitude must be intentional, not mechanical. It is not about listing things to be thankful for while your heart remains unchanged. It is about entering a genuine state of appreciation, of feeling the joy, peace, or relief, as though your desires have already materialized. When you express gratitude for something before it happens, you are not deceiving yourself. You are activating the law of assumption. You are impressing your inner being with the message that what you seek is already yours, and in doing so you are aligning with the end result. The feeling of thank you becomes your affirmation that all is well, that you are cared for, guided, and supported by something greater than your senses can explain. Gratitude is also a remedy for resistance. Often, the very energy of trying too hard to manifest something carries with it the undertone of desperation or doubt. You may affirm abundance yet still feel anxious about money. You may visualize love yet still feel lonely inside. In these cases, gratitude acts as a reset, shifting your state from one of striving to one of receiving. Instead of asking or longing, you begin thanking, as if the prayer is already answered, as if the door is already open. This is not wishful thinking. It is creative alignment. It is the inner shift that precedes the outer shift, because once you feel the state of gratitude fully, your reality begins to mirror it back to you. You do not wait for conditions to be perfect in order to be grateful. You bring gratitude into the now, and conditions begin to respond. Even in the absence of visible results, you can always find something to appreciate. A small comfort, a lesson learned, a breath taken, a moment of peace, and from that seed of thankfulness a greater harvest can grow. When you consistently return to gratitude, you are training your mind to see life through a different lens, a lens that finds the good, expects the best, and creates from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. You begin to live in the energy of already having, and in doing so you collapse the distance between you and your desire. The power of gratitude also lies in its ability to transform your self-concept. When you are grateful for who you are becoming, you stop judging where you are. You stop measuring yourself against the past, or worrying about how far you have left to go. Instead, you embrace the journey with joy, knowing that every step is purposeful and sacred. You start to affirm your worthiness, not as a reward for achievement, but as a recognition of your inherent value. Gratitude allows you to receive the present moment without resistance and to open yourself fully to the gifts that are already trying to reach you. This inner posture of thankfulness also changes how you relate to others. You stop seeing people as obstacles, competition, or sources of pain. You begin to view them as mirrors, teachers, and co-creators. You appreciate the role each person plays in your life, even those who challenge you, because you understand that every interaction is contributing to your growth. Gratitude turns resentment into understanding, envy into inspiration, and fear into faith. It is not about denying the difficult emotions, but about choosing not to dwell in them. You recognize them, feel them, and then shift back into the energy of appreciation, because you know that what you focus on expands. When you wake up in the morning and immediately offer thanks, not just for what is, but for what is coming, you are claiming your power. When you go to bed with a heart full of gratitude, not just for what happened, but for what you are becoming, You are anchoring yourself in the vibration of your desires fulfilled. These simple acts may seem small, but they are profound. They recalibrate your energy, redirect your thoughts, and renew your faith. They build a foundation of joy that is not dependent on circumstances, and from this foundation anything becomes possible. Gratitude also enhances your ability to receive. Many people unconsciously block their own blessings because they are not open to receiving. They feel unworthy, guilty, or doubtful when good comes their way. But gratitude dissolves those blocks. It opens the heart, softens the mind, and prepares the inner space to hold more. When you are truly grateful, you do not sabotage what you receive. You cherish it. You no longer push love away, deflect compliments, or question your success. You allow the goodness in and nurture it because you feel safe in the knowing that you are supported and deserving. Living in gratitude is living in harmony with the creative power that governs all things. It is choosing to speak the language of abundance, to feel the presence of what you seek before it arrives. It is becoming a vessel for more by celebrating what already is. And through this celebration, you signal to the universe that you are ready, that you are aligned, that you are in the state of having. Gratitude is the echo of answered prayer spoken before the evidence arrives, and it is through this echo that the manifestation is called forth. The truth is, the universe responds not to begging, effort, or worry, but to the state you occupy within. When you claim your desire is already fulfilled, when you dare to believe with unwavering faith, when you assume the end boldly, live it in imagination, speak from it, think from it, and give thanks for it before it appears, you align yourself with the very laws that govern creation. You do not chase your manifestation. You become the version of yourself who already has it. The world outside you cannot help but mirror back the world you have accepted within. So remain in the state of the wish fulfilled. Let your inner world be filled with assumption, faith, gratitude, and unwavering trust, and then what you have imagined will harden into fact. The universe can do nothing but say yes to the self that knows it is already done.
My dear friends, I want you to listen with the ears of your soul, not just your mind. For what I am about to reveal to you is not theory, not speculation, but truth, eternal and unshakable. This truth, once grasped, will revolutionize the way you live. I ask you today to act as if everything always works out for you, because in truth, it does. You see, you are not merely a passive observer of this world. You are not a victim of circumstances, nor are you subject to fate. You are the creator, the dreamer, and the projector of your own reality. All that you experience outside is simply a reflection of what you have accepted and assumed within. When I say act as if everything always works out, I am not speaking of idle pretense. I am not inviting you to engage in fantasy without substance. I am calling you to awaken to your true nature, the divine imagination. Everything in your world, whether favorable or not, is the outpicturing of your inner conversations, assumptions, and beliefs. And so, if you truly assume that all things are working together for your good, then you will begin to see evidence of that very assumption unfold before your eyes. The law is simple. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Live in the end. Do not concern yourself with how it will come to pass, only that it already is. And once you dare to live in that state of knowing, the bridge of incidents will rise to meet you. The seeming coincidences, the unexpected help, the miraculous changes in circumstance, all will conspire to bring forth the manifestation of your assumption. What does it mean to act as if everything always works out? It means you release the need to control. You release the fear of what might happen. You let go of the habit of worry, and you cultivate an inner conviction so firm, so radiant, that nothing can shake it. You walk with the quiet confidence of one who knows that life is always bending in your favor. You smile even when storms come, because you understand they are clearing the path for your desires. You must imagine and feel yourself to be already that which you long to be. Imagination is the beginning of creation, and once you have assumed that state, persist in it. When doubts arise, when appearances contradict your desire, you must return within, and remember, I am the operant power. It does not matter what I see. It matters only what I am conscious of being, and I choose to be the one for whom everything always works out. Let us not forget, the outer world is not causative. It is reactive. It is a shadow of the inner man. Change your assumption, and your world will reflect it faithfully. Do not be fooled by delay. Delay is not denial. It is simply the time it takes for the old state to dissolve and the new one to solidify. Many lose heart because they look outward and do not see immediate change. But faith is not tested by what you see. It is tested by your ability to remain loyal to the unseen. You must act as if all things are conspiring for your highest good, because they are. This is not blind optimism. It is divine truth. All things work together for good to them that love God, to them that love the I Am within themselves. The God that Scripture speaks of is not somewhere in the clouds. It is your own wonderful human imagination. When you assume the best, you are loving God. When you persist in the assumption that life bends in your favor, you are aligning with the divine. Everything you assume to be true becomes fact in your world. The assumption, though false to the outer senses, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So if you want to change your life, do not battle with conditions. Do not try to manipulate the world. Instead, return to the secret place of the Most High, your imagination, and there assume that all is well. Assume that the outcome is perfect. Assume that the delay is divine timing. Assume that the disappointment is a redirection to something better. When you truly act as if everything works out, you transform your energy. You shift your frequency. You no longer dwell in the state of lack, fear, or doubt. You rise into the state of abundance, peace, and certainty. And because your inner state determines your outer world, life must reflect that change. But this must not be done once or twice. It must become your dwelling place, your new home. You must live in this state. You must wake up and say, today everything is working out for me. You must walk into every room believing that people will love you, that opportunities will find you, that success is inevitable. And when the evidence comes, as it surely will, do not be surprised. Rejoice, yes, but do not be shocked, for you knew this was coming. You saw it within. You accepted it before it arrived. Let us not confuse acting as if with pretending. Pretending is weak. It is superficial. But acting as if in the spiritual sense means to inwardly accept a reality as already true. You are not faking it. You are faithing it. You are allowing your assumption to be your truth. And the world, which is but yourself pushed out, will mirror that truth back to you. Think of the seed planted in the ground. You do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You plant it, water it, and wait in faith. You know that beneath the soil, life is stirring. So it is with your assumptions. Plant them in the soil of your mind. Water them with your attention. Guard them with your inner speech. And wait in confidence, knowing that the harvest is inevitable. When you act as if everything works out, you begin to notice the divine order behind all things. You look back at past failures and realize they were blessings in disguise. You see that every closed door led to a better one. You understand that even your mistakes were necessary steps toward your evolution. This is the power of perspective. This is the power of faith. But how do we begin? We begin by disciplining the mind. Every time a fearful thought arises, we replace it with a new assumption. Even this is working out for me. When you lose the job, say something better is coming. When the person leaves, say this is clearing space for my true love. When the opportunity slips away, say there is something greater just around the corner. You become unshakable. And in this state of peace, of certainty, you become magnetic. Everything you want is already yours. It exists in the invisible realm of imagination. And your job is not to struggle or to force, but to align. When you align your inner state with the assumption that life is good, that life supports you, that the universe is conspiring in your favor, then you become a cooperative component to your own miracle. You must cease to be impressed by facts, for facts change. Facts are only the fruit of former assumptions. If you do not like the fact, change the assumption behind it. Do not dwell on what is. Dwell on what you desire to be. Think only from the end. Feel only from the end. And persist. No matter how long it takes, persist. Because persistence is the key that unlocks the door. There will be moments when the world screams at you that nothing is changing, that all is lost, that your assumption is foolish. And yet in those moments, if you can remain faithful, if you can still declare, everything is working out for me, you will have won. For it is not the appearance that matters, but your reaction to the appearance. If you react with fear, you fall back into the old state.
But if you respond with faith, you rise above it. This is not about arrogance. This is about alignment. When you walk into a room and feel that things will go your way, you are not being prideful. You are being powerful. You are aligning with the truth that life is not happening to you, but through you and for you. You are the cause, not the effect. I say again, act as if everything always works out. Wake up in the morning with gratitude. Speak to yourself with kindness. Visualize the outcome you desire, and carry yourself as one who knows that all things are unfolding perfectly. This is the secret. This is the key. This is the divine law of assumption. It is not complicated, but it requires faith. Not faith in a distant deity, but faith in yourself, as the image and likeness of the Creator, as the I Am. And when you dare to claim that power, when you dare to believe that your assumptions shape reality, you will walk through life with a grace and confidence that no one can take from you. There is no need to strive, no need to beg. Simply assume, simply believe, and then act in accordance with that belief. Do not contradict it with fear. Do not cancel it out with doubt. Return again and again to the knowing. Everything is working out for me. Say it in the morning. Say it at night. Whisper it in the quiet of your heart. Let it become your mantra, your melody, your song, and you will see the evidence. You will feel the shift. You will walk through the valley of shadow and fear no evil, because you will know that even here, in this seeming darkness, the light is already rising. So, beloved, take this truth with you. Let it guide your thoughts, your words, your actions. Let it color your vision. Let it shape your reality. And remember always, you are not waiting for the world to change. The world is waiting for you to assume the change. Live now as the one for whom life always works out. Walk now in the certainty that the universe is bending in your favor. Speak now with the authority of one who knows that imagination creates reality. This is the power. This is the secret. This is the way. Everything is working out for you. Always has. Always will. Act like it. Feel like it. Live like it. And so it shall be. Even when the world around you appears chaotic, uncertain, or even threatening, this truth does not change. Your outer world is not autonomous. It is subordinate to the inner state. You are not required to fix anything out there. Your only responsibility is to return within and ask yourself, what am I assuming to be true of myself? What am I imagining consistently? And from that point of awareness, begin to construct your new reality, not by effort, but by belief. To act as if everything always works out is to shift from reaction to creation. You are no longer at the mercy of what is happening. You are authoring what happens next. This is why we say imagination is not a mere faculty. It is the very foundation of life itself. What you imagine with feeling, with conviction, becomes substance. And so the wise man does not complain. The wise woman does not dwell in worry. Instead, they return silently to their inner chamber and assume the state of victory. If someone offends you, forgive and move on, not because they deserve it, but because your state must remain intact. You cannot afford to dwell in resentment if you are to assume that everything is working out for you. You cannot engage in gossip, fear, or self-pity and expect your world to mirror peace, abundance, and joy. The inner man must live in harmony with his highest assumption. That is the discipline. That is the path. When it seems like nothing is changing, when you begin to doubt, when circumstances press in, pause, breathe, and return to your core affirmation. Even this is working out for me. Your car breaking down. It's leading you to the right person. A delay in a plan. It's divine timing shifting things in your favor. A lost opportunity. It's the redirection that brings the one meant just for you. Life from this perspective is never against you. It is not random. It is precise. It is mathematical. It obeys the vibration of your assumption. That is why the world of the awakened man is so different from that of the sleeping man. The sleeping man believes in cause and effect. He sees the world as happening to him. But the awakened one sees the truth. Everything happening is the effect of a cause planted within. If you dare to live this truth daily, you will find your fears vanish. Why fear what must inevitably turn out for your good? Why dread what must bring you closer to your destiny? Your very attitude becomes your protection. Your assumption becomes your armor. And because you carry the energy of certainty, of peace, of trust, life begins to reflect that serenity in every direction. Yes, there will be moments when your faith is tested. That is not to punish you, but to purify and strengthen your conviction. Do not run from those tests. Embrace them. Smile and say, here is my opportunity to prove the law. Here is my chance to persist in the face of contradiction, and then do just that, persist. Hold the end in mind. Feel the reality of what you have imagined, and let it be. It is not your job to figure out the mechanics. Do you tell the seed how to grow? No. You trust the invisible process. So it is with assumption. Assume the outcome, and let the unseen hand of life orchestrate the steps. The how is not your concern. Your only task is to dwell in the state, to live in the end, and to act with faith. Do not chase, attract. Do not strive, align. Do not force, allow. There is an ease that comes when you truly believe everything is working out. You no longer seek reassurance. You no longer panic when plans shift. You see life as fluid, dynamic, responsive to your inner world. And this ease is not laziness. It is power. It is dominion. You are no longer a beggar. You are a creator. You are no longer hoping. You are knowing. In this knowing, mountains move. People shift. Doors open. Money comes. Love flows. Health returns. Opportunities appear out of nowhere, because they were always there, waiting for you to align. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. So become the one for whom everything works out. Assume it so deeply that it becomes second nature. Breathe it, walk it, speak it, until reality must conform. You must fall in love with the unseen, with the yet to be manifested, knowing that what you imagine is more real than what you see. What you feel in imagination is what gives birth to what you experience in the flesh. So be very careful what you entertain mentally. Do not let worry rent space in your mind. Evict every thought that contradicts your desired reality. You are the landlord of your mind. Only allow in what serves your highest vision. Remember, it is not about faking happiness or suppressing emotion. It is about choosing a higher perspective. Feel what you feel, but then shift. Transmute fear into trust. Transform anger into clarity. Convert doubt into deeper commitment. That is your spiritual alchemy. That is your power. The most beautiful part of living, as if everything works out, is that it reclaims your joy. You no longer wait for conditions to be perfect to be happy. You are happy because you know perfection is unfolding behind the scenes. You don't need to see it. You feel it. You don't demand proof. You walk in proof. This is faith. And faith is the evidence of things not seen. If you ever forget, if the world tempts you into fear, simply return to your sacred affirmation. Everything is working out for me. Whisper it, write it, meditate upon it. Let it echo in your mind until your body believes it, until your reality yields to it. You are the divine in expression. The universe is not outside of you. It is within you, responding to you, shaped by you. And so I ask you again, beloved, will you dare to live from the end? Will you dare to act as if all things, even now, are conspiring for your highest good? Will you step into the role of creator, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and walk this earth with the quiet majesty of one who knows? You must, for once you do, your world cannot remain the same. As you continue in this state of assumption, you will find that the very people who once seemed distant or indifferent are suddenly drawn to you. Situations that once felt heavy begin to feel light. Obstacles seem to dissolve of their own accord. It's not magic, it's law. The law of assumption is as precise and unfailing as the law of gravity. Assume that everything always works out, and life will mirror that truth in ways that will astonish you. This way of being becomes a quiet revolution within you. You are no longer subject to the external. You become the master of your fate, not through force, but through feeling. And that feeling, when held consistently, creates a current so strong that the outer world must yield to its rhythm. The people you meet, the conversations you have, the places you're drawn to, all begin to coordinate themselves in harmony with your inner declaration. Everything is working out for me. You see, it is not merely about thinking positively. Positive thinking is surface level. Assumption penetrates the depths of consciousness. You are not hoping things go well. You are living from the end, from the knowing that things already have. That is the secret. To live from the fulfilled desire is to live from power. It is not reactionary. It is not needy. It is not grasping. It is whole. It is rooted in being. Do not be surprised when the world pushes back at first. The old world, born of your past assumptions, may echo a bit longer. It may try to test you, to call you back to doubt. But do not yield. The past has no power unless you grant it permission. The world is not punishing you. It is catching up to the new you. And if you remain unmoved, if you refuse to be tricked by appearances, then the vision must crystallize. The assumption must bear fruit.
There is no force in heaven or on earth that can prevent the manifestation of a state that is persistently assumed.
And so your task is simple. Dwell in the state every day, every moment. Every time your mind wanders, bring it back. Bring it back to the truth that life is for you, not against you. That the universe is not chaotic, but responsive. That you are not separate from divine order, but the expression of it. The ancient mystics knew this. The scriptures declare it again and again. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The heart, in this context, is not the organ in your chest. It is the seat of belief, the center of imagination, the home of assumption. What you feel to be true consistently becomes your experience. Therefore, take no thought for the morrow, for the morrow will take thought for itself. Your job is not to figure it all out. Your job is to assume and remain faithful. Oh, what a relief that is. You are not meant to carry the weight of the world. You are not meant to struggle and strive and prove your worth. You are meant to create with ease, with joy, with faith. And faith, my dear friend, is not wishing, it is knowing. It is the quiet certainty that the unseen is more real than the seen. It is the conviction that your assumption, though invisible now, is already working behind the curtain of time. Everything works out for you, not because of luck, not because of chance, but because you decided it would. You assumed it so clearly, so vividly, that reality had no choice but to reflect it. That is the beauty of this path. That is the elegance of divine law. It respects your assumption. It honors your state, and it never ever fails. So walk forward, not with hesitation, but with boldness, not with fear, but with assurance. Life is not random, it is obedient. And when you live in the end, when you act as if everything always works out, when you dare to believe that your desires are already yours, then you open the gates to a life so beautiful, so abundant, so peaceful, that it will seem as though all of existence was waiting for you to remember who you are, because it was. The more you live in this state of fulfilled desire, the more natural it becomes. What once felt like effort begins to feel like second nature. You do not have to remind yourself to breathe, and soon you will not have to remind yourself to trust. The assumption that everything works out becomes your baseline, your spiritual default. You rise in the morning with ease, knowing that the day ahead is already divinely ordered. You walk through your life with an invisible shield, not a shield of defense, but a shield of certainty. You know that no matter what arises, it is rising for you, not against you. People may ask you, why are you so calm? Or how are you so confident when things look uncertain? And you will smile, not with arrogance, but with peace, because you have touched a deeper truth. You no longer live by appearances. You live by inner vision. You are not waiting for the world to give you permission to feel good. You feel good because you have aligned with the knowing that your assumption shapes your world. The moment you stop asking, is this working? And begin declaring, it is done, the tide begins to turn. Doubt dissipates. Worry fades. Because you are no longer in the state of hoping, you are dwelling in the state of having. And from that state, miracles are not exceptional. They are expected. Breakthroughs are not rare. They are regular. You begin to normalize the extraordinary because you are no longer resisting the flow of life. This is not about being unrealistic. It is about being spiritually disciplined. It is about placing more trust in the unseen reality of imagination than the temporary illusion of circumstance. Imagination is not just a place to escape. It is the workshop of God. It is the womb of creation. And what you dare to feel real in that sacred space will echo into your physical experience with absolute precision. Let others talk of logic and statistics. Let others speak of probability and practicality. You, however, know something deeper. You know that assumptions override facts. You know that when you consistently occupy the state of your wish fulfilled, the facts must eventually bow to that inner authority. And so you do not panic when things appear to fall apart. You understand they are falling into place. Do not concern yourself with what others believe. Many will not understand you, and they do not need to. You are not here to convince. You are here to create. Your inner world is your sacred ground, and it is on that ground that you build the life you desire. With each assumption, you lay a brick. With each inner conversation, you set the foundation. And soon, what was once only imagined will stand before you in solid form. If by chance you forget, if you fall into worry or fear, do not judge yourself, simply return. Gently, without resistance, bring your awareness back to the truth. Everything is working out for me. That single phrase holds the power to calm storms, to open doors, to realign you with the divine pattern of your life. It is more than a mantra. It is a decree, a declaration from the I am within. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are meant to be, learning exactly what you are meant to learn, becoming exactly who you were always destined to be. Nothing is wasted. Every detour, every delay, every seeming failure is part of the larger orchestration. And when you hold to the state of everything working out, you allow those moments to reveal their hidden perfection. Even in your waiting, there is movement. Even in your stillness, there is progress. Even in your silence, creation is taking place. You are never stagnant. You are always manifesting. The question is not whether you are creating, but what you are creating. And once you become deliberate, once you become intentional, the game changes. Life stops happening to you and begins happening through you. The external no longer controls your emotions because you have learned to master the internal. And that mastery is not cold or rigid. It is soft, fluid, and graceful. It is a deep trust, a surrender not to fate, but to the higher wisdom that flows through all things. You stop resisting what is, and in doing so, you allow what can be to enter effortlessly. You become the embodiment of peace in chaos, the light in darkness, the assurance in uncertainty, not because your life is perfect, but because your assumption is. You walk in faith, not by sight, and your faith becomes the evidence that others cannot deny. People will look at you and see the calm, the magnetism, the manifestation, and they will not know it came from a simple but powerful act, assuming that everything always works out. And you'll smile, not because it's over, but because it has only just begun. As this way of being deepens within you, you begin to notice the subtle magic that infuses the ordinary. A phone call at just the right moment, a chance encounter that leads to a breakthrough, a delay that saves you from harm. None of it is accidental. You realize life has always been this intelligent, this responsive, this intimate, but you had not yet trained yourself to see it. You had not yet assumed it to be so. Now, as you dwell in the feeling that everything is working out, your senses sharpen to this divine choreography. What once looked like coincidence now feels like confirmation. You begin to treat each moment as a divine appointment. Nothing is wasted, and nothing is missing. If something leaves your life, you no longer grieve as one who has lost, but as one who knows something greater is arriving. If plans change, you smile, because you trust the detour. You no longer cling or chase. You allow, you flow, you trust, and in this trust you magnetize experiences that exceed anything your rational mind could have constructed. Because the rational mind is a servant, not a master. It is there to interpret, not dictate. It is the imagination that rules your world. The assumption you make is the blueprint, and the subconscious mind, the builder, goes to work faithfully, assembling the pieces in perfect order. You do not need to know how. You only need to stay in the end, live from the outcome, and give thanks before the evidence appears. That is the faith that moves mountains. That is the trust that births miracles. When someone says to you, "But what if it doesn't work out?" you can now respond, not with argument, but with serenity. It already has. Because in your world, the world you have chosen to assume, the one you feel from morning to night, all things are unfolding in divine alignment. The outer world may take time to catch up, but it will. It must. Because your assumption, when persisted in, becomes fact. It is law. You carry this law with you into every space. It touches your work, your health, your relationships, your finances, your self-image. There is no area of life where it does not apply. You are not compartmentalized. The energy you hold in one area influences the whole. So when you rise into the state of everything works out for me, you elevate the entirety of your experience. You radiate certainty. You exude grace. You become a living embodiment of trust. It's not because you have everything figured out. It's because you finally stop needing to. You've surrendered the how, you've released the timeline. You've let go of the illusion of control and embraced the deeper reality of creation, that what you assume and persist in with feeling must be made manifest. And when you know this, not just intellectually, but experientially, then the whole world becomes your canvas. Life becomes a joyful unfolding, not a series of problems to solve. Even your challenges are seen differently. They become invitations, opportunities to refine your assumption, to test your faith, to strengthen your conviction. You no longer collapse under pressure. You rise. You remember who you are. The operant power, the one who decides, the one who directs, the one who speaks from the end, and watches the world rearrange in response. You begin to see it everywhere. A friend starts shifting just after you changed your assumption about them. Money comes in just after you stopped worrying and began feeling abundant. Your health improves once you stop affirming illness and begin imagining yourself well. The outer reflects the inner, always. And once you know this, truly know it, you no longer fear the future, because the future is simply the fruit of today's assumption. So live now as though the best is guaranteed, because it is. Speak now as one whose dreams are inevitable, because they are. Feel now the joy, the peace, the fulfillment of the wish fulfilled, and reality will shape itself to match that frequency. You have already begun. You wouldn't be hearing these words if you weren't ready. You wouldn't be drawn to this message if it weren't time. Time to assume something greater. Time to expect the extraordinary. Time to remember that you are not at the mercy of life, you are the source of it. The more you rest in this awareness, the more effortless life becomes. There is no more striving to get somewhere, no more desperate reaching or clinging. You simply are. You move through the world with a quiet inner knowing, a divine nonchalance. You may not know when or how, but you are certain of what, and that what is your assumption that everything is unfolding perfectly, that everything is being orchestrated with precision for your highest good. You begin to feel supported, carried, as though life itself is walking beside you, guiding your every step, whispering, yes, keep going, it's already done. And in this sacred partnership between you and your imagination, you find freedom. The weight of outcomes falls away. The pressure to control diminishes. You become lighter. And because you are lighter, more flows to you, people, ideas, opportunities, resources. You become the embodiment of flow. Others notice. They sense something different about you. They may not be able to name it, but they feel it. A calm confidence, a serene certainty that does not waver. And when they ask you the secret, you can tell them, I assume that everything always works out for me. That's it. That's the axis upon which your new world turns. Not a complicated process, not 100 rituals, just a single powerful state of being, faithfully inhabited. You understand now that all along, it was never about changing the world. It was about changing self. And self is simply the awareness of being. When you change what you are aware of being, when you assume a new identity, a new outcome, a new reality, everything outside of you reshapes itself accordingly. People begin to treat you differently. Doors you thought were closed swing open. Synchronicities abound, not because you manipulated anything, but because you assumed everything. This is not ego. This is alignment. This is not illusion. This is the creative act in its highest form. You are not escaping life. You are creating it. You are not denying what is. You are choosing what will be. And that choice, quiet, inward, persistent, is what determines your world. So every time you're tempted to fall into fear, every time you catch yourself rehearsing worst-case scenarios or reacting to appearances, pause and return to the assumption, not just as a thought, but as a felt reality. Say it within. Everything is always working out for me. And don't just say it. Feel it. Breathe it in. Let it wash over you. Let it anchor you. Let it become you. Because when it does, your world becomes new. Not just changed, but renewed, fresh, alive with possibility. And in that freshness, in that aliveness, you remember the ancient truth that has been waiting for you all along. According to your faith, it is done unto you. You need not try harder. You need only assume more deeply, trust more fully, let go more completely. And when you do, life responds not with resistance, but with welcome, not with struggle, but with grace, not with delay, but with immediacy. As this becomes your daily experience, as you continue to walk, as the one for whom all things work together, you begin to understand what true freedom feels like. You realize that freedom is not having everything under control. It's knowing that you don't need to, that your assumption is the control, that your inner state is the blueprint, that your imagination is the key. So rest in this awareness, keep choosing it, keep feeling it, and watch, moment by moment, as life unfolds with effortless precision before you, because it must. And so, beloved, let this truth settle into the deepest chamber of your heart. You are the operant power. The world is not happening to you. It is happening through you, because of you and for you. You are not at the mercy of chance, nor are you bound by appearances. You are free, free to assume, free to imagine, free to create. And when you choose, boldly and consistently, to act as if everything always works out for you, you are aligning with the highest law of the universe. Let the world say what it will. Let facts present what they may. You will remain unmoved. You will walk in quiet dominion, clothed in the assumption of your fulfilled desire, knowing that what you persist in feeling must express itself in form. Your job is not to figure out the path. It is to live in the end, to feel the joy before the result, to trust the process even when the picture is not yet clear. Everything is working out for you, not because you begged, not because you forced, but because you knew, you assumed, and you rested in that knowing. And now watch how the heavens respond. Watch how the world bends. Watch how doors open, and people appear, and moments align in your favor, not by accident, but by law. Now go, not to seek your blessing, but to express it. Walk as the one who already received. Speak as the one whose prayers have been answered. Think from the end, feel from the outcome, and live from the fulfilled wish. Act as if everything always works out, because in truth it already has.